Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Under the chilly skies of an October afternoon in Cleveland, something truly rare is about to unfold. A football anomaly so uncommon that it hasn't graced an NFL field in nearly 2 decades. The Miami Dolphins, led by TUA Tagovailoa, will face off against the Cleveland Browns and their rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel in Week 7, marking the first duel between two left-handed quarterbacks in 19 years. For fans who love football history, quirky stats, or just the strange coincidences that the sport seems to produce, this game is a small but delightful slice of NFL trivia come to life. 19 years ago, the last time two southpaws took snaps on opposite sidelines, Michael Vick's Atlanta Falcons faced Chris Sims and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a humid September day in 2006. Vick's Falcons won that low-scoring grind, 14-3, and after that, the NFL seemed to quietly move on from its left-handed lineage. The game shifted, offenses evolved, and the league's quarterback pool dried up for lefties. For almost 2 decades, the league saw left-handed passers as curiosities rather than mainstays. Then TUA arrived, breaking that dry spell and reminding everyone that the spiral looks just as pretty spinning counterclockwise. Now, with Dillon Gabriel under center for the Browns, that long-lost mirror image matchup is back on the schedule. It's the Dolphins versus the Browns, sure, but also, it's TUA versus Gabriel, two rare southpaws trying to prove they can still make magic happen in a right-handed league. On paper, it might not look like the most glamorous contest. Both Miami and Cleveland come into Week 7 sitting at 1-5, two teams struggling to find rhythm, identity, and a bit of luck. But beneath that record lies something far more symbolic. Two quarterbacks fighting not just for their franchises, but for recognition in a sport that has nearly forgotten their kind. For fans who've followed TUA's journey, it's been one defined by resilience. The former Alabama star burst into the league with all the expectations in the world, burdened by comparisons to Dan Marino, whispers about his durability, and endless scrutiny over whether his left-handed release would translate at the professional level. Over the years, TUA has shown flashes of brilliance, quick reads, pinpoint accuracy, an uncanny sense of timing. When Miami's offense is humming, it's a thing of beauty, a rhythmic dance of motion and precision. But this season, the Dolphins have struggled to replicate the offensive fireworks that once made them the league's darlings. A 1-5 record doesn't tell the whole story, but it paints a picture of a team desperate for direction. Meanwhile, across the field, Dillon Gabriel is at the very beginning of his NFL story. The former Oklahoma Sooner, known for his lightning-quick release and calm demeanor under pressure, stepped into the Browns' offense amid chaos. Cleveland, a team perennially defined by its quarterback carousel, has once again found itself searching for stability. Gabriel, with his smooth left-handed delivery and a quiet confidence, might just be the spark they need. For a fan base used to heartbreak, a rookie lefty could represent something different, something fresh. The irony is thick. Two franchises known for frustration, now linked by the rare presence of left-handed hope. And when they meet on Sunday, the symmetry will be poetic. Each quarterback will roll out to his left, each will spin the ball with that same inverted spiral, each will see the game unfold through a lens that few others share. In a way, the left-handed quarterback is football's unicorn. Out of the hundreds of passers who have taken NFL snaps, fewer than 30 have been lefties. That's less than 5% of all quarterbacks in league history. Think about that, 5%. You could almost go an entire generation without seeing one rise to prominence. Michael Vick, Steve Young, Ken Stabler, they were the outliers, the ones who made the lefty throw look not just functional, but elegant. Then, for nearly 20 years, silence. The league tilted right, both literally and figuratively. Offensive coordinators built schemes tailored to right-handed rollouts, right-handed protections, right-handed tendencies. The playbooks, the drills, the muscle memory of the game, all designed for the majority. That's what makes this Week 7 matchup feel so oddly significant. It's not just about two struggling teams. It's about the rare side of symmetry in a sport built on asymmetry. And for TUA, it's a reminder of where he stands in that lineage. He's carried the torch for lefties since entering the league in 2020, often unknowingly representing an entire demographic of young quarterbacks who've been told to just throw with your right. Now he gets to look across the field and see someone who mirrors his mechanics, his angles, his vision. Dillon Gabriel grew up watching players like Tua, dreaming of proving that a lefty can still command an NFL huddle. The two share that invisible bond, one forged not in friendship or rivalry, but in the shared experience of defying the league's norms. When they meet at midfield before kickoff, there will likely be a grin, a handshake, and maybe a sense of recognition. Finally, another one. The game itself will, of course, come down to execution. Miami's offense thrives on quick rhythm throws, RPOs, and getting the ball into the hands of speedsters like Jalen Waddle and TYREEK Hill. Tua's precision on slants and timing routes has always been his hallmark, but Cleveland's defense, despite their record, can make life difficult for any quarterback. Myles Garrett remains one of the league's most fearsome edge rushers, and he'll be eager to chase a quarterback whose blind side comes from the opposite direction than usual. That's another wrinkle in this matchup. Teams are used to pressuring righties from their left, but against lefties, the dynamics flip. Protection calls, blocking assignments, and hot reads all invert. The right tackle becomes the blindside guardian, and defensive coordinators must adjust their rush angles accordingly. It's football geometry in motion, and for one afternoon, fans will get to see the game from a completely different perspective. On the other side, Dillon Gabriel will face a Dolphins defense that loves to disguise its blitzes. Miami's secondary is opportunistic, and Gabriel will have to stay poised if he wants to avoid turnovers. But what makes this rookie intriguing is his confidence. He's not the tallest or the strongest, but he's precise, quick, and fearless, qualities that translate, regardless of which hand the ball spins from. His first few starts have shown flashes of what he could become, a pocket passer with flair, capable of manipulating defenses with subtle fakes and quick releases. If the Browns' offensive line can give him time, this could be the game where he truly arrives. And then, as if the football gods were writing a script, next week Tua will again face another lefty, Michael Penix Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons. That will mark the second consecutive lefty versus lefty duel, something that hasn't happened in the modern NFL era. It's as if the league, after years of ignoring the southpaw signal callers, suddenly remembered how unique they are and decided to celebrate it. For the fans, it's a fun throwback to an era when Vic was redefining what a quarterback could be, when the idea of a left-handed passer wasn't an oddity, but a highlight. Of course, this Dolphins-Browns matchup won't change the course of NFL history overnight. But symbolically, it matters. It's a reminder that football still has room for variety, for uniqueness, for players who don't fit the mold. Both teams are fighting uphill battles this season, but games like this carry emotional weight. For Miami, it's about proving that their early season stumbles were flukes, that Tua can still command one of the league's most dynamic offenses. For Cleveland, it's about finding hope amid the rebuilding process, about seeing a young quarterback take his first steps toward legitimacy. And beneath all that strategy and storyline, there's a quiet poetry to the idea that the two men leading their teams into battle both throw from the wrong side. They've each heard the same questions growing up. Can a lefty succeed in the NFL? Will coaches design plays for you? Will teammates adjust? Sunday is their chance to answer with performance instead of words. No matter which team comes out on top, history will have been made the moment the first snap is taken. When the game kicks off in Cleveland, every flick of the wrist, every spiral curving against the grain, will echo the ghosts of Vic and Sims, of Young and Stabler. It'll remind fans that football, at its core, is still a game of individuals defying expectations, of players carving out their identities in a world that loves uniformity. And who knows, maybe this lefty resurgence won't end here. Maybe a new generation of quarterbacks will watch Tagovailoa and Gabriel and realize that it doesn't matter which hand you throw with, as long as you can lead. For now, though, all eyes are on Week 7. Two teams searching for a second win. Two quarterbacks rewriting a tiny but beautiful piece of NFL trivia. One rare sight, the spiral spinning the other way. It's not just Dolphins versus Browns. It's the return of the lefty, the rebirth of the uncommon. And for one Sunday in October, it's a reminder that football's magic lies not just in the big plays, but in the little moments that make the game endlessly fascinating. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Breaking news is shaking the NFL world, and if you think the offseason was dramatic, hold on to your seats, because what's happening in Miami might just be the biggest bombshell yet. Sources close to the Dolphins organization, who insist on remaining anonymous, have revealed a series of explosive events that are sending shockwaves through the locker room, the front office, and the fan base alike. At the center of this storm is none other than TYREEK Hill, the mercurial, game-changing wide receiver whose name has been synonymous with speed, highlight reel plays, and occasional off-field controversies. But now, it seems, the man known as the Cheetah is turning his fire inward, and the target of his frustration might surprise you. According to insider whispers that have been circulating since late last week, Hill has not minced words in publicly and privately criticizing Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins' star quarterback, in a manner that has left the team reeling. The comments, though not officially released by Hill himself, have leaked through multiple channels, including teammates, coaching staff confidants, and even rival NFL insiders who are smelling a story bigger than any mid-season trade rumor. While the exact content of his statements is shrouded in secrecy, those familiar with the situation describe a tone that is both biting and pointed, questioning Tua's leadership on the field, decision-making under pressure, and ability to rally the locker room during high-stakes moments. The timing of these revelations could not be more explosive. The Dolphins, coming off a season that promised so much but ended with frustration and unmet expectations, were already under intense scrutiny from fans, analysts, and pundits. Hill's apparent disapproval of Tua, therefore, feels like gasoline poured over an already smoldering fire. The ripple effects are being felt in real time. With social media exploding, local Miami reporters scrambling for quotes, and national outlets framing this as a potential locker room crisis that could have long-term consequences. Sources indicate that Hill's comments are not isolated complaints, but part of a broader pattern of discontent, hinting at tension not only with Tua, but also with how the coaching staff has utilized his talents. Some insiders suggest that Hill, who has historically thrived in systems that allow for maximum freedom and explosive plays, is frustrated with what he perceives as constraints on his impact in critical game situations. This narrative, if true, could explain why Hill has been unusually vocal in private conversations that have now spilled into public awareness. What makes this situation even more tantalizing for NFL gossip mongers is the conflicting reports about the reaction within the Dolphins organization. While some staffers are reportedly scrambling to mediate the situation and contain the fallout, others are said to be quietly taking Hill's side, acknowledging that Tua's performance in clutch moments has been inconsistent and that a player of Hill's caliber is unlikely to remain silent when expectations aren't met. Meanwhile, Tua's camp has remained tight-lipped, but sources close to the quarterback suggest that he is aware of Hill's dissatisfaction and is determined to address it head-on, though the strategy for doing so remains a mystery. The drama is intensified by the backdrop of Miami itself, a city where sports headlines are followed religiously and locker room whispers often become front-page stories overnight. Fans are divided, with some defending Hill's right to voice his frustrations, arguing that elite athletes like him should be held accountable for ensuring the team performs at the highest level. Others have rallied behind Tua, insisting that public criticism, no matter how privately felt, risks destabilizing a team that is still vying for legitimacy in a hyper-competitive conference. Adding another layer to this story are the whispers about potential long-term ramifications. Some insiders speculate that if Hill and Tua cannot find common ground, the Dolphins' front office might be forced into difficult decisions, possibly even entertaining trade scenarios for their star receiver. While this is pure speculation at this point, the mere suggestion has been enough to set off a frenzy among fans and sports analysts, each one crafting narratives about what could happen next. The intrigue is compounded by the personalities involved. TYREEK Hill, a player known for his charisma, speed, and sometimes unpredictable temperament, is suddenly cast in the role of a disruptor, while Tua, who has been portrayed as the steady hand in Miami's evolving story, faces unprecedented scrutiny from someone many consider the team's most electrifying talent. As these two narratives clash, insiders are quick to point out that the Dolphins' locker room dynamics are delicate, and any misstep could influence the team's performance in the upcoming season. But while the drama unfolds, there is also a sense of anticipation. Some sources suggest that Hill's critique, controversial as it may be, could serve as a wake-up call that galvanizes TUA, the coaching staff, and the rest of the roster. There is historical precedent in the NFL for public tension to evolve into heightened performance, and observers are eager to see if Miami will become a cautionary tale or a story of redemption. Meanwhile, the rumor mill refuses to slow down. Every media appearance, practice session, and social media post is being dissected for subtle signs of agreement, defiance, or reconciliation. Analysts are debating the implications for the Dolphins' offensive schemes, chemistry between quarterback and wide receiver, and even the possibility of roster shakeups that could ripple across the league. One source hints at private meetings that have already taken place, where Hill reportedly expressed his frustrations candidly, and Tua responded with measured professionalism, but the tension remains palpable. Another source claims that team leadership is considering more formal interventions, perhaps involving mediators or high-profile mentors, to ensure that personal grievances do not derail the season. The uncertainty surrounding Hill and Tua has created a peculiar atmosphere in Miami, one that is equal parts anxiety, intrigue, and excitement. Fans are tweeting theories, posting memes, and debating endlessly about what Hill's statements mean for the Dolphins' future. Some point to the potential for improved accountability and competitiveness, while others worry that prolonged tension could fracture the team before it even hits its stride. In the midst of all this, one thing is clear. Tyreek Hill's words, however leaked or interpreted, have already left a mark. The Dolphins, a team striving for relevance in one of the NFL's most demanding divisions, now face a challenge that extends far beyond XS and OS. It is a test of character, leadership, and the fragile dynamics that define professional sports. And if the rumors swirling around Miami hold even a grain of truth, we may be witnessing the start of one of the most compelling narratives of the season, one where a superstar receiver, a promising quarterback, and an entire city are caught in the crossfire of ambition, frustration, and the relentless pursuit of victory. As the story develops, insiders warn that more revelations are likely, each one feeding the frenzy and adding layers to what is already shaping up to be a historic chapter in Dolphins lore. Whether this will culminate in reconciliation, escalation, or even a seismic roster move remains unknown, but the buzz is undeniable, the stakes are sky high, and one thing is certain. The NFL, and Miami in particular, will never be the same again if Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa continue on this collision course. For now, fans, analysts, and rivals alike can only watch, speculate, and brace for the next twist in a saga that has already electrified a city and captivated the league. The Dolphins may have aimed to start the season with momentum and optimism, but instead, they find themselves at the center of a narrative that mixes talent, tension, and tantalizing uncertainty in a way few could have predicted. In the weeks to come, every pass, every practice, and every press conference will be scrutinized under the lens of this unfolding drama, leaving no doubt that the saga of Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa is destined to dominate headlines, water cooler conversations, and sports feeds for the foreseeable future. And as Miami braces for what promises to be a turbulent journey, the question on everyone's mind is simple yet electrifying. Will this be a story of ultimate triumph, bitter conflict, or a mixture of both that reshapes the Dolphins' identity for years to come? That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.